Hello and welcome to the class, my dear students. Today we shall be discussing chapter 3, that is migration. So first let's talk about what is migration. In simple words, it is movement of people from one place to another. That is, say for example, we are here located in Hamiltonganj, some in Kalchini, some in the tea garden areas. So if you happen to move from this place to any other place, that is what we call migration. But the movement, it's not just for a day or a two. That means, so like you moved to Siliguri in the morning and returned back in the evening, that is not considered as migration. A certain time period over a year is considered as migration. And the people who migrate from one place to another is known as migrants. There are various reasons why people migrate as causes that we discuss, or when we ask why do they migrate, what is the reason for their migration, or why do they have to migrate. The first and foremost thing that comes is for economical purpose. Like our area, if you see the areas of Kalchini, Hamiltonganj and the tea gardens nearby, economically we are not so strong. In other words, the money that we earn here is not that sufficient to live a very good standard of living. So in order to earn more money, that is economical prospect, people migrate. Migration also takes place because of looking for better education facilities. Like here we have schools, but until class 12 we do not have better colleges, we do not have very good universities. So the nearest place that we move to is Siliguri, or we try to move to the capital city, that is Kolkata, or out of the country sometimes, that is where we go international. So in this case, what we come to know is migration either takes place within a country, that you are moving within the country, within India, from one state to another, or you're moving from India to some other countries for education purpose, or for earning purpose, or even for health purpose. So these are the causes for migration, the reason why people move from one place to another. In other case, migration can also be forced or voluntarily. Places where political stability is not maintained, that means wherever or whichever country we see, if politically they are not very good, the ruling is not very good, in such cases people try to migrate from one country to another. There are other factors like push and pull factors that we talk about. Now let us discuss what is this push factor and what is pull factor. Push factor, it says factors that causes people to move from home areas. That means wherever people are located at this present time, if they do not find this place very suitable for them to earn money, for better health, better education, or to live a high standard of living, then people move out of this place. So this lack of better health, better education, to live a better life standard, all these things lacks, then people try to move out of that particular place. So this itself becomes the push factor. On the other hand, the other places or other countries may have very good opportunities for people to earn, people to get educated, or with better studies features. So in that case, people get attracted to such countries, and that very factor of those countries becomes the pull factor, that is factor that attracts people to relocate in new areas. For example, let us take our own tea garden, and another place let us take anywhere in the country, a metropolitan city. Say for example Mumbai or Bangalore or Kolkata or Chennai or Delhi. So what happens is, here if we are earning 10,000 rupees a month, If you go to Delhi, you can earn 20,000 rupees a month. So what happens? 10,000 may not be sufficient for you to live your life or have a better life standard. So that becomes a push factor because your standard of life is not very good. But another places they are offering very good opportunities in earning. So you earn more there. So that more earning becomes a pull factor and you get attracted to that place where more earnings can be done. So you start moving to that particular place. So this is how migration is created, or this is how people start migrating, that is moving from one place to another. This migration that take place, it either takes place within a country or it takes place internationally. So you can call it an international migration or even internal migration. On the other ways, if we see, migration can also be seen as a way where people is moving from one place to another. When people is moving from this place to another place, say like from place A to place B. So what we see is in place A, population is decreasing because people are moving out of that place. But place B is receiving the population, so where population will increase. So in this case, we can define migration as a type of migration. We can see emigration, immigration and refugees. Emigration is a movement of people out of the country, and whoever moves out of the country, they are known as emigrants, while people who move into a country is known as immigrants and the movement is known as immigration. Let us take for an example two countries, India and United States, that is USA. So like you move from India to USA, you become an immigrant for India, but at the same time for USA you become immigrants because you are moving into USA and moving out of India. So this is immigration and emigration. Well, refugees is slightly different from immigration and emigration because the movement is caused by force. By force, like I said, because of some political instability. For example, in fact, a very good example can be cited of Tibet. You see, Tibet is occupied by China and China wants to have their hand over the country, Tibet. But the people living in Tibet, they feel that Tibet is an independent country. They want it to see a free country, free out of the hands of China. But since they cannot, so what happens is since they do not like the policies of China that prevails in Tibetan areas, so they are forced to move out of that place. And when they are forced to move out of that place, they do not have a permanent host country to go, or they do not have a permanent place to go. So they try to seek asylum, that means help to stay in a nearby areas. So when the host country in fact comes up to help them, so that host country will be receiving such forced people who were forced to move out, and they will be known as refugees. Now, in terms of migration from place to place, in fact, on the basis of place, we get to see there are two different types of places. One can be considered as rural, the other can be considered as urban. Rural areas are mostly villages and urban areas are the towns and cities. So when movement takes place from these villages towards the towns or the cities in order to look for a better life, such movement is known as rural to urban migration. And since this rural to urban migration takes place mostly within the country, hence it is also known as internal migration. So the causes, obviously rural area will not have that much of facilities, so that is why they try to move out of this place. So mostly it is the job opportunity which lacks in rural areas, and also with less payment for whatever job they get, so that is why they try to move out of this place and then go to a better place where they can find good jobs and better payment. Rural areas are mostly dominated by agricultural lands, and agricultural activity becomes the most important economic activity. But in today's world with modernization, this agricultural activity is replaced by machines. Humans are replaced by machines in the agricultural activity. We can say mechanizations of farming. So this has caused the jobs of different people working in agricultural lands. So they have to move out from this place. Rural areas, they do not have better health and educational facilities. So this also results in movement of people from rural to urban areas. So what happens when these people move to urban areas? Effect we see, there is mostly the growth of urban regions and urbanization takes place. When large number of people move to the newer places, so what happens is new cities and towns are being formed. So that ultimately leads to a higher amount of population, inflow of population, resulting again to urbanization. The other cause is, the other factor that in fact, the other effect of rural migration is rural depopulation. That means population decreases in rural areas. So who goes to work? Mostly those people who are efficient and young, they go to work to urban areas and they leave behind only the young ones and the children's, in fact, the young ones and the older people. So these two age group people are left behind, and most of the economic activities are almost stopped because neither the children nor the old people can work. So this affects the population of rural areas, and this is known as depopulation. Thank you, class. For the topics we will be discussing in the next classes. Have a good time.